Think your daily routine is gross? Today, we're diving into the nastiest things humans used to think were perfectly normal. This is real life, real history, real gross. You think public restrooms today are bad? Well, welcome to ancient Rome, where going to the toilet was not just a private moment, but a full-on social event. And the star of the show? A sponge on a stick. Yeah, that was their toilet paper. It's called a tessorium, a wooden stick with a sponge attached to one end. But here's the gross part. It was shared by everyone. That's right, one public toilet, a row of stone seats, no walls, no privacy, and one happy little sponge passed from butt to butt like a party baton. People would sit side by side, chatting politics, gossip, gladiator fights, while doing their business. Imagine someone turning to you mid-poop and saying, "So, you catch that chariot race yesterday?" That's Roman culture for you. Now, to be fair, they did have a cleaning method. After each use, they dipped a sponge in a bucket of water mixed with vinegar or salt water. And then, back on the shelf it goes for the next lucky customer. It's the ancient version of, "Please leave the sponge as you found it, unless you found it gross, in which case, too bad." And don't forget, the sponge wasn't optional. Romans took hygiene seriously. Not wiping after pooping was considered barbaric. So you either used a shared sponge or you were a filthy outcast. There's even evidence that poor hygiene from these toilets spread disease, especially when someone skipped the vinegar step. You had one job! But here's the kicker. Some historians believe rich Romans had personal tessoria, a VIP butt sponge, if you will. Maybe even with embroidered handles. Because nothing says luxury like a monogrammed poop stick. So next time you're complaining about running out of toilet paper, just remember, at least you're not sharing a butt sponge with 20 strangers in a stone room with no doors. Ah yes, the glory of ancient civilization. Did you brush your teeth today? With minty freshness and fluoride powder? Well, what if I told you that the ancient Egyptians also brushed their teeth? But their toothpaste included burnt eggshells, ashes, and mouse poop? Yes, mouse poop. Let's take a journey back in time and into the world's first disgusting dental routine. Around 5,000 years ago, Egyptians were weirdly obsessed with dental hygiene, and for good reason. Sand and grit from their bread made their teeth wear down fast. So, to fight plaque, they invented the first ever toothpaste, and it was extra crunchy. Here's the ancient Egyptian recipe. Brace yourself. Crush rock salt, burnt eggshells, charcoal ash, and yes, powdered mouse droppings, all ground into a fine powder and rubbed directly on the teeth with a finger or a stick. Nothing says good morning like a mouthful of rodent feces and ashes. But wait, the Egyptians weren't alone. The Romans, they preferred urine-based mouthwash. Yes, they switched pee for fresh breath. Pee contains ammonia, a natural cleanser. Science, I guess. The Chinese went herbal, ginseng, salt, and flowers. Europe during the Middle Ages, they said, "Toothpaste? Nah, just don't smile too wide." Rotting teeth were in. But weird as it was, the Egyptian recipe actually worked. Modern dentists tested the ingredients and found they were surprisingly effective at removing plaque. Sure, the mouse poop part did make it into Colgate's formula, but hey, they were ahead of their time. So the next time you complain about brushing your teeth, just remember, at least you don't have to chase a mouse every morning for dental hygiene. Now, if you excuse me, I'll never look at my toothbrush the same way again. What if I told you that in 17th century Europe, people believed drinking fresh human blood could make you younger, stronger, and more fabulous? Sounds like a vampire fantasy? Nope, it's real history. Back in the day, medicine was, let's say, a little experimental. Doctors believed that life force, or vitality, could be transferred. So if someone died suddenly, their blood still had power. And who better to supply it than executed criminals? People, especially the rich and desperate, would rush to public executions, not to watch, but to catch the fresh blood in fancy goblets. Yes, they literally stood under the scaffold like, "Excuse me, sir, one shot of net juice, please." Some even believe that smearing warm blood on the face could cure acne and make skin glow. Early versions of Vampire K-Beauty? One woman reportedly drank blood daily until she died from iron poisoning. But hey, her skin was flawless. Even the philosopher Francis Bacon believed in the power of fresh blood. In Germany, apothecaries sold powdered mummy, real ground-up corpses for energy. And in England, some nobles rubbed human fat into their skin like lotion. So next time you complain about your expensive anti-aging serum, remember, at least you're not sipping blood from a beheaded criminal at 7 a.m. History is weird. Like and subscribe for more disgusting facts they never taught you in school. Did you just cut your finger? No worries, just grab a live mouse and slap it on the wound. Yes, that was actually a thing. Welcome to the wonderful world of ancient folk medicine, where logic goes out the window and rats go on your face. Back in medieval Europe and parts of ancient China, people had some creative ideas about healing. Forget bandages and antiseptic, that's for weaklings from the future. Instead, when you got a nasty cut, some folks believed the body heat of a live mouse could magically draw out the bad energy and heal the wound. So what did they do? They tied a real squeaking mouse right onto your bleeding leg or arm. No anesthesia, no antibiotics, just mouse power. If you were lucky, the mouse didn't poop on your wound. If you were unlucky, congratulations! You now have the bubonic plague starter pack. But wait, it gets weirder. In some rural traditions, they crushed baby mice with herbs and applied the gooey mess onto bruises. Yes, mouse smoothie for your ankle. And if you had a toothache, some medieval folks believed that stuffing a dead mouse into your mouth could help. Apparently, dental hygiene wasn't invented yet. Today, we have hospitals, antibiotics, and trained professionals. Back then, you've got an infection? Quick, someone find a mouse and make sure it's still kicking. History lesson. Just because something is traditional doesn't mean it's smart. So next time you get a paper cut, maybe don't raid the pet store for healing purposes. Ever heard of a job where collecting human poop made you respected and rich? Well, let me take you to Edo period Japan, where your poop had value and people actually fought over it. Yes, this is a real story. Get ready for the stinkiest economy in history. Between the 1600s and 1800s, Edo, now Tokyo, was booming. Over 1 million people packed in like sushi rolls. But with that many humans comes one pressing issue. What do you do with all that? The answer? You collect it, sell it, and grow vegetables with it. That's right, human waste was a hot commodity. Farmers in the countryside paid good money for the nutrient-rich night soil. It made their crops thrive, and because the city was growing fast, poop demand skyrocketed. This gave rise to an elite class of workers, the night soil men. They walked through the city with buckets and carts, collecting human waste from homes and public toilets. It wasn't glamorous, but it was profitable. And guess what? Poop from rich people's homes was worth more money. Because wealthy folks ate better, their poops had premium nutrients. That's right, even your bowel movements had social class. It went so far that landlords signed poop contracts with tenants. Live here, but I own your poop. Sometimes, poop from a rich neighborhood was so valuable, rival farmers would bribe collectors or even steal poop at night. Imagine a midnight heist for human waste. So while Europe was throwing waste out the window, yelling, "Garde-lou!" Japan was turning it into eco-friendly fertilizer, boosting agriculture and cleaning the city. And you thought your recycling game was strong? Respect to the night soil men, the unsung heroes of sustainability, one bucket at a time. Think your sweaty gym friend smells bad? Try living in medieval Europe, where smelling absolutely terrible was a flex. Let me introduce you to a time when soap was suspicious, baths were considered sinful, and the royalty stank the most. A holy fear of baths. In the Middle Ages, many believed that bathing opened your pores to demons. Yes, demons. Water was seen as dangerous. It could weaken your body, or worse, tempt your soul to vanity. So people avoided it like the plague. Also, literally during the plague. Public bathhouses used to be popular in early medieval times, but by the 14th century, they were seen as places of sin and STDs, not hygiene. Royalty equaled walking perfume bombs. King Louis XIV of France, also known as the Sun King, reportedly bathed only 3 times in his life. Instead, he bathed in perfume, not water. The royal court was famous for its smell. Courtiers carried scented handkerchiefs to survive a meeting with the king. One noblewoman wrote, "His Majesty smells like spring, if spring died in a barn." Cover it, don't clean it. Instead of washing, people powdered their wigs with flour, dabbed themselves with rose oil, and wore layers upon layers of clothing. Sweat? Natural. Rotten teeth? Fashionable. Moldy armpits? The price of elegance. Smell became a class marker. If you smelled clean, you were probably poor and had to do manual labor. But if you smelled like a spoiled cheese wheel left in a dungeon, congrats, you were probably nobility. So next time someone complains about deodorant shortages, just remind them, hey, at least we're not in 1349, where being stinky wasn't just normal, it was trendy. Ever dreamed of looking like a porcelain doll? In the 16th and 18th century, noble women in Europe took that dream a little too seriously. And by seriously, I mean they smeared poison on their faces every single day. Let me introduce you to the most deadly beauty product of all time, Venetian Ceruse. Fancy name, deadly recipe. White lead, vinegar, and sometimes mercury, all blended into a creamy paste that made your skin pale, smooth, and slowly, terminally ill. Why did they do it? Because back then, pale skin equals luxury. Having a suntan meant you worked outside. Pale face? That meant you were rich enough to never see the sun. So women powdered themselves until their skin looked like a frosted donut, ignoring the fact that this beauty trend came with side effects like hair loss, rotting teeth, facial paralysis, and of course, death. Queen Elizabeth I was the OG beauty influencer in this trend. She used Venetian ceruse to hide her smallpox scars and created a flawless, glowing white look that everyone wanted. Except her face started turning into a crusty mess underneath. She basically looked like a zombie wearing foundation. But did that stop others? Nope. Nobles would rather drop dead in style than be caught with a freckle. Want to know the irony? Venetian ceruse actually damaged the skin so badly that users had to apply more and more to cover up the damage. It became a deadly cycle of coverage and decay, kind of like Instagram filters, but lethal. Doctors of the time even noticed the symptoms, but the women? Shh, don't ruin the aesthetic. They just kept applying it until one day they stopped forever. So next time you think your skincare routine is too long, be thankful it doesn't involve smearing death on your face. Beauty is pain, they said, but back then, beauty was murder.